The Overcome and Conquer show is presented by The Project. The Project is a full immersion, 75-hour experience designed for men who know in their core they are not living up to their fullest potential. Rather than waking up every morning ready to dominate life, the mediocre man rolls out of bed and slides into the same unfulfilling routine they've unhappily been in for way too long. The Project is for men that have lost their internal flame and motivation to conquer. It's for men living an unfulfilling life that lacks excitement and purpose. Sound familiar? Then listen up. The Project is specifically designed to challenge you mentally and physically. We push you to the ledge of self-limiting beliefs and prove you've got much more in the tank. We kill the bitch and unleash the beast. We uncover the demons that hold you back and turn extreme pain into superpowers to dominate life. In the end, we turn mediocre men into modern-day knights. We forge a brotherhood and bond that levels you up as a better husband, father, and friend. But the Project is not for every man. In fact, it's not for most. For men who are okay with being in a rut and achieving less than their fullest potential, the Project isn't for you. If you're not willing to put in the work to fix what isn't working, the Project isn't for you. However, if you're done white-knuckling it through life, living one day at a time with no sense of purpose, and are willing to do what it takes to improve, the Project holds the key to unlocking the next chapter. Graduates of the Project join a brotherhood of modern-day knights and become the authors of their destiny. They have their fire reignited and reclaim dominance over their family, fitness, finances, and faith. If this resonates with you and you want to learn more, we encourage you to apply today at www.mdkproject.com. That is www.mdkproject.com.
Everybody wants to be on top of the mountain. The problem nowadays is people want to get dropped off at the top of the hill and look down.
It's that I overcome mindset that makes all the difference.
See, the way we're taught is you're going to claw, you're going to scratch, you're going to bite, you're going to dig, you're going to do whatever it takes to get to the top of that mountain.
That unequivocally is how I have managed to keep myself moving forward and finding success.
2 SEALs, 1 mission. The Overcome and Conquer Show.
And welcome back to another amazing episode of the Overcome and Conquer Show. We're just taking it to a whole nother level, one episode at a time.
Choo-choo. The train of success is a-rolling, brother.
Hell yeah, it is, man. We got sponsors now.
Thankful,
and we are
thankful.
Yes, amen.
Amen. Good things come to those who wait and have passion. That's my new motto because it's actually working.
I was wondering where you were going with that, but I love it. So, and yeah, it has been great. We've been on an amazing journey, and we've obviously had a lot of great guests. We want to give a shout out to all of you out there who have subscribed and are following the show, giving us that great feedback. Continue to spread the word. As we grow, it enables us to do more and more, and obviously it enables more sponsors to say, I want to be on board.
I love it. I love it. Subscribe, guys.
So subscribe and
we
leave
are
that
growing.
5-star review.
Yeah, and we are growing in epic proportion, and that's it. And the guests that we're getting are just getting better and better. Not that our first guest sucked, not that it was like bottom of the barrel when we first got him, but we are being able to reach out to people because our message is being heard and people are spreading the word. And it's just a great feeling when people want to come on and share their stories.
Well, actually, we were the first 2 guests of the show.
We sucked.
I interviewed you, and then you interviewed me.
Who was our first interview?
So we were technically bottom of the barrel back then.
We did the wives, and then didn't we do Jimmy?
We did Jimmy. Jimmy was
Jimmy
number
Hatch?
5.
That was powerful.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a really good one.
Speaking of powerful, we've got powerful today.
Yes. We do have powerful today. We have an amazing power couple, to be precise, and that's one of the awesome things.
Team awesome.
So yeah, without further ado, we're going to jump right into this episode so that we can get into it. And hang on, I'm having a delay here.
You all right?
Oh, there we go.
Don't make me take over.
Dude, please.
No, because I'll be like, go.
So our next guest, an amazing individual who is doing some great things now. We're going to get into that. And he's actually joined by his lovely wife. And we're going to get into why
McKayla.
that is. But so Aaron Hale was an EOD member in the United States Army, the great and amazing United States Army, which is almost as good as the United States Navy. I just want to point that out. So no offense, Aaron, but even though
Aaron was Navy too.
Oh, whoa, dude, you wore both hats. Wait a minute. I didn't see that.
I didn't see that either.
Do you guys hide that? Are you ashamed? Are you ashamed?
I went to the Army.
So what happened?
Oh, I was a Navy cook. I was a CS before I jumped ship and went to the Army for EOD.
Did you regret that every day? Every day you were like, I miss the Navy.
Do you know if you would have became a SEAL, I'd be calling you Casey Ryback right now?
Well, you know, back in the day, both EOD and SEALs, they weren't rates of their own. They were specialties. They were qualifications.
Yes.
That's right. That's so funny. We were actually having that conversation.
Showing
earlier,
your age. Showing your age.
So you made
neither of them were taking cooks as source rates.
Yep.
So everything's waiverable. Nobody wants to tell you, but I tried.
So you mean Hollywood had it wrong and Under Siege? Like, Steven Seagal wasn't really a SEAL when he became, from the cook. Dude, my world is crushed.
I know.
My world is crushed.
I have to take the poster down then that I have hanging in the room. My wife has issues with it when we're alone, but it's okay.
Well, if I was as badass as Seagal, I could have gone from Navy SEAL to cook. But
I know Mr. Seagal in real life, and he is just how he acts in movies. He is the same exact way. That is not acting. That is him just showing up and going, I'm Steven Seagal. He's like the original Batman voice. Seriously, that's who he is.
It's true.
It's
true. I was at an event with him and he
same
does.
Character
in
every
movie.
All
right. Come on.
Let's
We
get
got to
back-
get back into this. So Aaron Hale, when he first joined the glorious United States Navy, and then he made that incredible, wonderful mistake to join the United States Army. Sorry, I can't help it. So, no, seriously though, we've had the great honor of working with the Army. Aaron was a EOD expert in the Army before he was deployed in Afghanistan in December of 2011 when he sustained a massive blast that ended up taking away his sight. Yet he never allowed it to stop him. This show is about those amazing individuals who overcome and conquer incredible odds. And he went on to do so much that most other people out there who have full sight won't even do. Running marathons, climbing mountains, solo whitewater kayaking, and then continuing on with that. And all along the way, and McKayla, I got to give you a great shout out because I also had an amazing spouse who walked the path of a wounded warrior with me. It is an incredibly hard path. There's lots of setbacks. I know what it takes for a spouse to be a caregiver. So I'm going to talk about that some later in the show, but she was with Aaron all along the way. And now they have gone on to create an incredible business together that's actually doing amazing things. So I'm not going to tip my hat on what that business is. I'm not going to steal you guys' thunder. I would rather you guys talk about it and we highlight that. But I just want to say it is my honor and our privilege to have on the Overcome and Conquer show today, Mr. Aaron Hale and his lovely wife, McKayla. Welcome to the Overcome and Conquer show.
Hey, thanks so much, you guys.
You guys are welcome.
It's an honor to be invited on. Thank you very much.
Honored to have you guys. It's funny. I tell my wife, you guys have ever heard the saying, behind every great man is a great woman. I actually think beside or in front of every great man is a greater woman. So my hat's off to you, ma'am. I remember Erica, what she went through. So I'm not even giving that guy beside you any credit. I'm giving it all to you right now because just the journey that you went through together is amazing and it shows a lot of warrior spirit that you have. And I get emotional during these. I haven't had the things happen like, Aaron has or Jay has, but obviously I've been close to it, seen people get injured. And the wives who stand up and go out of their way and they're just there, through the hard nights. And like Erica had to go through. My hat's off to you. It's very rare that you'll hear me be serious on a show because I like to goof off, but I have the utmost respect for women like you. And I want to take this minute to just thank you, salute you. And it's an honor to know you, ma'am.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I second that. I mean, it's there's so many stories of wives and girlfriends out there who, when these catastrophic events happen, basically say, I can't handle this. And they head on. And I've seen it. I know you guys have seen it too. You guys have witnessed it. So big shout out to McKayla and you, Aaron, for, plodding along and showing her, hey, I got this. You want to hang out with this guy. Cause what I do is, I'm not just going to, walk again. I'm going to go run a marathon.
Amazing.
And go do all these other
I
things.
love it.
So
Well, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish, anything that I have without McKayla. I'm sure without me, McKayla would have been perfectly all right. But, she is my inspiration, my muse, my strength, and so much more. So I'm eternally grateful for having found her and having her in my life.
I love it. All right. Well, we're going to get a little deeper into that here in a few minutes. But as with every show, we start off with our word of the day. We reached out to Aaron and we said, Aaron, what is the one word that describes you? Mr. Kerr, I will turn it over to you.
So the word of the day, and I think this is just a very powerful word, is grit. And the dictionary that I have, it's funny because usually the definition doesn't relate to the person that I'm looking at. But for this one, I think it does, at least in my eyes. It says courage and resolve, strength of character. And what I see when I'm looking at the two of you is strength of character. So without further ado, sir, what does the definition of grit mean to you?
Grit is the intersection of passion and perseverance. It's where discipline meets desire. Grit is that unwavering dedication to a good outcome, despite the hardships that lay ahead.
Amen.
Dude,
that's
an awesome definition. I was just like I literally was trying to absorb everything, but you kept hitting. It was like fighting Muhammad Ali. Like
I just wrote your
you were just
definition on my
continuing
phone.
to
I was
punch me in the face as I'm trying to digest one shot after another. So, well, Aaron, let's get back to that day. I mean, the moment that truly defines you. I mean, I don't know what you call yours. A lot of guys out there call it their alive day. I call it mine my rebirth day, the day that I kind of got a second chance and got to start anew. So walk us through that day, and then let's start walking through the journey. And what I'd love to hear is not only your side, but McKayla, I know that moment when when Erica was notified, that was a really hard moment for her as she was processing what happened. So I want to hear it from Aaron, and then I want to hear it from you.
Okay, Aaron, go ahead.
Well, the injury actually happened before we got together.
Yeah, but our moms have been childhood friends for over 60 years. So Aaron and I have known each other since childhood. So I knew of Aaron's injury, but we actually weren't together at that point. So Aaron and I didn't start dating till after he was blind.
Dude, that's awesome. I apologize that I hadn't gotten deeper into that at that moment.
It's okay.
So
it's not your fault.
Do you see my face? That's amazing. I mean, wow.
Yeah, so I knew about his injury when it happened, but I was removed from the situation, not at Walter Reed, not recovering with him during that traumatic experience. But it did impact my life. But I'll let Aaron tell how that day went for him, and then recovering, and I'll chime in just as I can.
Yeah, please do. All right, Aaron, lay it on us, baby.
Well, the thing is that even though she wasn't there with me to experience the injury from the IED blast, I got to share with her a whole other type of struggle when I lost my hearing in the meningitis years later. I actually consider I have two alive days. But backing up to the IED incident, I was on my third deployment, second as an EOD tech, first as an EOD team leader. And I was in Afghanistan. I'd just gotten back from my 2 weeks of R&R, and I spent. It was the holidays, Thanksgiving time. I got to go home and witness my son turn one. Spend Thanksgiving with the family. It was an awesome last last page in the photo album. And then I was right back on the battlefield. My team picked me up in the JERV, the armored truck from the airfield, and we were heading back out to our AO, back out to the COP. And along the way, got the call from the patrol leader, the convoy commander, that said there was an item in the road, and they wanted me to check it out. They had report of an IED. So it was like, no time like the present. I tossed the luggage off of the robot, tossed the robot out of the truck, and we got to work. It was the same thing we found, 99% of the time in that area in Afghanistan was a pressure plate with a one of those vegetable oil jugs with homemade explosives and a 9-volt battery. Done it 100 times. It was no big deal. And the robot separated the pressure plate, and we had it rendered safe, but it couldn't get the jug out of the dirt. And before I was gonna, before bipping it or blowing it in place, I wanted to get some evidence off this thing as safely as I could. So I jumped out of the truck. I started making my way towards the IED. I had my evidence kit, my mine hound, the minesweeper, and about 20 or 30 meters from the original IED, just as the metal detector was trying to tell me something really important, a secondary device detonated, punted me into the air, turned the lights out, and sent me to my knees and elbows.
Damn.
I was still conscious, but I couldn't see.
Aaron, were you in a bomb suit, or were you just exposed, with your body armor?
I was in the standard battle rattle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just regular body armor, plate carriers and helmet. The rule in the battlefield is for every level 1 IED on the battlefield, if unknown hazard, you got to approach it with the first approach will be either the robot or the bomb suit. And once we knew the hazard and we knew that we'd mitigated the known hazard, there was no reason to get into the bomb suit. In fact, it would have been a waste of time and an over precaution to get into the bomb suit. Once once I knew and assessed that I'd rendered safe the known hazard.
Dude,
you can't suit up for every unknown secondary device that might be out there.
Dude, if I was an EOD guy, I would have lived in a bomb suit. I would have just worn it. I would have slept in it. I would have rolled out of bed. Oh, there's another bomb. Yeah, I'm going to be protected.
I actually dated a girl who was EOD tech. Her name was Melissa Tackett. I don't know if you know who she is. She was
I know Mo.
I dated Mo for years. Ask her if she knows Care Bear. But I tell you what, she was a diver before she was EOD. And I actually went to her graduation. She's the last class to graduate at Indian Head. So we have a little bit more in common than you think.
So Mo was actually friends with Ron Condry, my friend who took his life last year, EOD guy. Right. So I met Mo through...
the entire world knows Mo.
So
she's you think I'm a big, character? Yeah, she is a spirited young lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're big fans of and big supporters of the EOD Warrior Foundation and love Mo to death. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. We were just down. She was just down at the event your son DJ'd when I saw her.
Patriotic Festival.
Yeah, she was down there with her daughter, and Cody's fully grown now. I know. Yeah, we go back a long way, so we got a little bit more in common than you think. But I'll tell you what, my hat's off to her because she has done some crazy shit. Things that I'd rather. Yeah, I don't want to try to dismantle anything. I'd rather just blow something up.
Yeah.
And not like I'm a terrorist, but I'd rather just, you do your thing. I could never do it. I don't have the internal fortitude to do that, or the patience, or probably even the knowledge, because that is a tough school.
Well, case in point, Aaron, you were right there in the moment on the X, thinking the robot had it and that you were just going to collect some stuff, and all of a sudden, boom, in that instant. So you were knocked to your feet, lights out. What were your first thoughts as you came to?
The first thought that ran through my mind was, holy shit, I just got blown up.
There you
go. That's when the training kicks in. The first thing I got to do is assess the situation. And I got to find out, I just got blown up. I just got hit. So I did the systems check. I wiggled some fingers and toes and made sure everything was still there. And and miraculously, I still had all my bits and pieces. I just couldn't see. What I thought was my helmet had gotten pushed over my face. So after I did the systems check, I reached up and I was still on my knees. I reached up to fix my helmet just to find the helmet was gone. That's when I thought, oh no, this is really bad. The Army is going to want that back. And it sounds like a joke, but it's not. That's what went through my head,
dude. I really,
I did the same thing. No shit. I took my helmet off in the firefight, and I thought my arm had been shot off. So when I was getting up to go to the helicopter, I told my buddy, grab my arm and grab my helmet.
Grab my helmet.
Yep.
Yeah, I know the book.
Wow.
I love it. It's right. You don't want to leave gear behind because you're going to catch hell.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy. That shows you how much they drill that into us.
Oh yeah.
That's so funny.
That's amazing. I like when he said that. Like, we're starting to laugh. I'm not joking. It was like, oh shit, powerful moment. Yeah.
So when you realized that, hey, I can't see, what was going through your mind? Did you just feel like, man, there's debris in my eyes, they're going to be able to clear this out? I mean, what were you thinking?
I don't know, really. I didn't really think about it. I knew that there was some serious damage that was going on. If I wasn't, if my eyes weren't completely gone or they weren't damaged, well, I wasn't actually blinded. I had, something, I don't know if it was, something in my, brain, if it was my eyes, but the first moments of it, I was still in battlefield mode. I knew that the next thing that happens is my team, two team members would be clearing a safe path to grab me, so the medics could get their way in and get me out to the medevac. And the first thing I thought was, I didn't want anybody else coming into the danger, the hazard area.
Mm-hmm.
So I started walking back towards the truck. The only problem was I'm now blind and I had no idea where the truck was anymore. So I'm just kind of doing this zombie walk around the battlefield, probably narrowly missing a tertiary bomb or whatnot. But then my guys came in, they grabbed me, they dragged me back to the truck. The medics did their job, and I was just coming back from the airfield. So, medevac was about 14 minutes. And then in 48 hours, I went, 24 hours I was in Landstuhl, 48 hours I was in Walter Reed. And
wow, 48 hours you were in Walter Reed.
Holy shit.
That's a hell of a turnaround.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. But in all that time,
so what were you thinking during this, though? Because, I mean, that had to be kind of terrifying. I mean, obviously, all of us that have had some sort of catastrophic injury, we're wrestling with whatever, I mean, I was wondering if I was going to lose my arm and all those different things. So you literally were in the dark. And, I mean, were you... you hadn't been thinking about, hopefully they're going to get my vision back. I mean, what were they telling you?
It was before even considering what could happen when I got to Walter Reed. The only thing that was going through my mind was, how could I let this happen? I was so highly trained. We're so well, been doing this for 8+ months. The enemy is using such low tech devices on us. How did I let this one get past me?
Yeah. So did you feel guilty that this happened to you? Okay. I want the listeners to be able to, because wow. I mean,
was anybody else injured?
No. That's the great thing about being a tech, is that the way we operate is the highest ranking guy on the scene, the team leader, is the only one that goes downrange, makes the what they call the long walk, whether in the bomb suit or otherwise. But everybody else stays back in the safe zone, and we don't even perform our duties until everybody else is out of the way.
Okay.
So wow. No, I was the only one hit, and I felt guilty. I felt as though I'd failed. I made a mistake. I definitely, and it was through the days, the weeks, following, I was retracing every single step, thinking this is what I should have done differently, or how could I have done this right? And I just, there's no right answer. There's no, if I'd taken a different step, that's where the IED would have been.
Yeah.
So
what point, Aaron, did you come to grips with that? Because I did the same thing. I laid in that hospital bed and kicked myself. I was like, if I'd only moved right, if I'd only moved left, if I'd only listened to my spidey sense, it was going off telling me we are stepping into a bad situation, that I told myself, well, that's just fear. But I reached a point where I finally said, stop, you can't change what happened. So when did you reach that point and stop kicking yourself and just say what happened?
Well, I don't know if I ever fully reached, like a cathartic moment as far as if I did it right or did it wrong. I could have done things 100 different ways, but the way I did it was the way I did it, and it was the best way I knew how on the scene at that time. And I just realized that there's no going back. The situation is what it is, and now I gotta pick up. I gotta deal with it now, and I gotta plan for the future. And that's all. I just put it aside.
So I have a 2-part question. So from the time that this happened, this is the thing that people want to know with Jason. From the time that you took contact on the X. Fair enough. I mean, you took it.
I would call stepping on a bomb.
Being on the X. It's hard to get off that X.
I think that qualifies.
Number one, how long was the recovery time? And then what I think people want to know, and the first thing I want to know is, how did you two, and before I say this, hook up? And I don't mean hook up, but where in that process did the chemistry and the connection take place? Because I think that's what this story is about. It's about you two and the anchor that you have right beside you. Because I'm telling you right now, brother, you have got an anchor beside you, and I just love her for especially that. So if you can, walk me through that.
Like I said, 48 hours I was in Walter Reed.
Yep.
And dozens of surgeries later, they found that, my right eye had been completely taken and it was gone. In fact, my eyelids had been fused together. I was a permanent wink. It was pretty cool. But I had cracks in my skull to a point where I was leaking spinal fluid right out of my nose. A piece of frag had come across the bridge of my nose, gashed out my left eye just enough that they just wouldn't be able to repair it. Both my eardrums were blown out. And I was sitting at the Walter Reed, going with all that stuff going through my mind. But the recovery itself, the physical recovery, didn't take that long at all. After the surgeries, there wasn't much Walter Reed could do for me. It was just burns and scrapes and cuts on my face. In fact, neck down, I was virtually untouched. It was awesome. I don't know how that happened. But
wow.
It was, I think, 5 weeks, and I was out of the hospital. The mental recovery took a little bit longer. But I did what I usually do, and I just kind of plunged myself into the work. And now my work was recovery. It was learning how to be a blind guy. And they sent me to one of the 14 VA blind recovery rehabilitation centers around the country. And I went to Augusta, Georgia's VA, and that's where they taught me how to use all the accessible technology there is out there, learn how to use my cane and navigate. And that took a better part of a little over 5 months.
But they also taught you how to use your iPhone, your MacBook, all this technology for the blind. So, so they taught you a lot there.
That's right. And the first moment I could use my phone and could Google things, I was trying to figure out how to be blind, how I can do basic things, things that I could, I could carry on. So I was typing in blind plus whatever, blind plus outdoors, because I was terrified of being
And Aaron, I mean, I don't mean to make light of this, but I mean, I just imagine you like, Siri, how do I be blind? I mean, how do you do that?
Yeah. He said he doesn't mean to make light of the situation, but he was just saying, like, I can imagine you saying, like, Siri, how do I be blind?
Wow.
It really was like, just I was typing blind and outdoors, blind and run. How do you do these things? And I found that there's a blind man that climbed Mount Everest. And there was another blind man. It was the first blind person to kayak the entire Grand Canyon in a solo kayak.
Dude,
that's
so awesome.
As I, after I graduated from blind school, I sought these people out. Eric Weinmeier, the first person to climb Everest, the blind person to climb Everest. I climbed a mountain with him.
Wow.
Lonnie Bedwell, the first blind person to kayak the Grand Canyon. I went kayaking with him. And I learned how to do these things. And it mostly first out of just sheer terror that I'd be one of those guys feeling sorry for himself, stuck on his butt, feeling depressed and becoming a victim, popping pills and never living a life again. So I got out and I started running. Just in Florida, it's hard to find a good mountain to practice on. So I started running, and then
that damn flat state, the nerve of Florida.
So Aaron, do you think you would have accomplished all these great feats in life if this wouldn't happen to you? Because what I'm hearing is as horrific as this event was, it made you reborn, and I don't want to say a better person, but maybe a more adventurous person. I'm watching where I tread here, but I mean, you have done things that people that have eyesight and can hear haven't done. So my question is, after this traumatic injury, it's almost like you were reborn and now you're this adventurer that takes on everything. Do you think that you would have accomplished all these tasks if nothing would have ever happened to you?
Yeah, I'm like wondering,
I probably would have procrastinated too long. And that's really what it's all about, is that I could have done these things, but it was always someday. Someday I'll get to that. Put it on the bucket list. I'd love to go climb a mountain someday, but right now I'm a little too busy with other things, like playing video games, binge watching TV. I gave up television that same day.
Wow.
Well played.
That's the truth. I just decided that I was going to do everything I could as soon as I could, and I was going to challenge myself every single day.
So could I ask a question from I mean, that had to have been such a surreal experience to go from, obviously you had spent your entire adult life having sight to suddenly going and trying these extreme things. Like, and I got to give you kudos, and maybe even Siri too. Like, were you like, "Hey Siri, how do I be blind?" And Siri came back and was like, "You go crush everything," because that's basically what you did.
Yeah.
You develop tools and techniques, strategies for doing the incredible things, and it's the same. Like in the teams, you guys develop communications. You have shorthand for motions, for movements, for tactics, so that eventually you guys know, like EOD does, that we have a way of operating smoothly and safely. Well. Like climbing the mountains, I would have guides, friends around me who would tell me, don't fall to your right because it will be really nasty. And we have this like shorthand. And I'm still afraid of heights, but now you got to tell me that when to be afraid.
I can't stop laughing. I had to take off the mic. I gave up TV that day. I'm sorry. That is the greatest, most warped humor. That's warrior humor there, and I absolutely love it. And I apologize. You can't see.
Counting, I've lost my sense of hearing, sense of sight. The blast actually diminished my sense of smell, which also is connected to my sense of taste. So what I have left is my sense of hearing, or my sense of humor, and it's sharp as ever, but kind of holding on by a thread.
Hey, amen.
That's awesome. Amen. Well, speaking of communication, so obviously you developed amazing, elaborate systems to climb these mountains, obviously to kayak, to do these things. Obviously, you have developed an incredible teammate in communication in McKayla. So we'd love to know how this relationship started and developed and how she became your best communicator.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I was married when I was injured, but unfortunately, now that I was blind, I couldn't deploy to escape that marriage anymore. So I had to come to the realization that I was in an unhealthy relationship, and I got a divorce. Not a little while after that, I was single.
So can I ask you a question about that? Because I mean, was that a freeing? And I mean, not that a divorce is ever it's a hard thing for people to go through, but you've already been through this massive catastrophic event. You're already dealing with those doubts we all have, when we've suffered an event like this, like, man, I should have gone right or left. How could I have been so stupid? And now suddenly you're sustaining what I define another life ambush, a divorce. So what were you thinking when you went through that, and how did you drive past that?
It was just like everything else that was happening in my life. I'd gotten this new sense of clarity, a new urgency, in living a full and happy life. And I had to take a serious look at what was going on around me and realize that it was an unhealthy relationship. It was really awful. And I had to do what was right for me, had to do what was right for my son. And there was when when you have a gun to your head and you have to answer right now, what's the answer? And I said, I got to get a divorce. I got to get out of this. So it wasn't a pleasant divorce, but it was a necessary one. But what was great was that it made me single again. And one day I was goofing around on Facebook, and I think McKayla should tell you how that came about.
Yeah, because I'm wondering how the hell that came about. You're on Facebook, but go ahead. Yeah,
I know. So he was on Facebook, and he made a post about being on, what's it called?
Oh, I think I made some kind of joke how Tinder wasn't working for me.
That like he just keeps swiping right, and he made a joke about it. I thought it was funny, so I just commented something, and he ended up messaging me like, "Hey, how have you been? Let's catch up on the last 20 years of our life," because we have photos together as children, and but hadn't seen each other for our entire adult lives. So
wow. So McKayla, were you aware of what had happened to Aaron? Like, did your family say, wow, you remember Aaron? Yeah, he got really messed up in the war.
So my mom actually got a phone call from Aaron's mom the day that she found out about his explosion. And Aaron's mom, Carol, called my mom when she was driving to go see Aaron at Walter Reed. And my mom told me that Carol just kept saying, his beautiful blue eyes. Like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can go see him like this. And I just heard this story, like, and Carol was really upset about it, obviously, and didn't know what kind of shape Aaron was in, other than that he had sustained a huge blast to his face, and that they didn't know if they could save his eyes. So the beautiful part about that story, though, is that we just had identical twin boys in April, and they both have Aaron's eyes. I have brown eyes.
Oh, no way. Wow. How awesome is that?
Yeah, so it's really cool, which is why I had to run
off. Well done, sir. Well done.
Yeah. So anyway.
Strong genes. Well played.
Strong genes for sure. So we reconnected on Facebook, and then we started talking to each other on the phone for hours. And I was living in Northern California at the time, and we kind of did this long distance thing. And Aaron lived here in Florida. So he convinced me to come spend a week, take a week off of work, come spend time with him here in Florida. So I did, and it was an incredible week. We had a great time together. He cooked for me. He still does all the cooking in the house. And
Wow.
yeah, so we had a great time. We went to the beach, and then I had to go home. I went back to my life in California and went back to work. I was only home like 3 days. Wasn't really sure like where our relationship stood, other than that I'd see him again that October for his sister's wedding. And he was going to run a marathon in Sacramento, where I was living later in the year. So I knew I'd see him, but anyway, so we continued to talk, and about 3 days later, he had just gotten home from a speaking engagement in Massachusetts and got home. I was on my break from work, and they were telling me, or he was telling me, that he wasn't feeling very well and that he thought he might be coming down with something. But he ended up telling me he was going to take a nap, and he laid down for a little bit. And
I wasn't feeling right. I was very fatigued after getting off the plane. We talked on the phone for a few minutes, but I realized I needed to take a nap or something. So I laid down. I don't know how long it was until I woke up with this crushing headache. This migraine doesn't even explain it. It was like somebody poured acid into my brain. Within moments, I realized I need to call for help. So I called 911. The operator said, state the nature of your emergency. And a little embarrassed, I said, ma'am, I've got a really bad headache. But she said, scale of 1 to 10, how bad's the pain? I said, ma'am, I've never felt a pain like this in my life, and I've literally been blown up before.
That'll get
she
her
doesn't hear that
attention.
every day.
Yeah, exactly.
So the ambulance is on its way. And, thankfully I live about 1.5 miles from the hospital. They gave me something to settle me down. Next thing I know, I wake up, McKayla is right by my side. My mom's by my side. Like, I thought it was like 5-10 minutes later. And how did you guys get here so fast?
Yeah, it had actually been 4 days by the time Aaron woke up.
Whoa,
And I got a phone call the night he went into the hospital from his mom saying that Aaron was in the ICU. He was intubated. He had bacterial meningitis, and it entered through the original bomb blast crack in his skull. And they were trying to get a hold on it, but it was really serious. And I asked his mom if she or anybody was going to be able to go see him. And that weekend, they were actually celebrating his sister's wedding shower. So the whole family was in Ohio. So I jumped on a plane, and within 24 hours was back in Florida, and was at the hospital with Aaron. So I actually never went back home to California. So my girlfriends ended up driving all of my stuff out to me months later. And it was a really hard choice to leave my career and my friends. But I also knew that Aaron needed somebody to advocate for him and needed somebody to be in the house with him full time while he was undergoing surgeries and antibiotic treatments at home. But it was months before we were out of the hospitals anyway. So, yeah.
There are far less elaborate ways to get a second date than what I told.
Well played, sir. Well played. I'm going to borrow that one.
Worth it.
Wow. Did you like, as you were going under, did you like text your mom and like, hey, call McKayla?
Call McKayla.
Yeah. So
I'm going down, Mom.
Yeah.
I'm going down.
Yeah.
What happened was the bacterial meningitis or the heavy doses of antibiotics actually took what was left of my hearing that the blast hadn't stolen. So I was completely deaf, completely blind, and really, really pissed off.
Yeah, no doubt.
McKayla was there every minute of every moment of the way there. and through the whole ordeal. There was a chance that I could regain some of my hearing with cochlear implants, but it would take months from waiting for the infection to clear to getting surgery. And they did surgery on the more damaged side, the more damaged ear first. Have to wait for that surgery to heal. It was this long, drawn out process, and they told me it might be a year or more before you can actually understand what the information that the signal was picking up. And for over 6 months, there was nothing. It was complete silence. And it was incredible that McKayla was right there beside me. And she developed a way to communicate by writing every letter of every word she needed to say to me in the palm of my hand.
Wow.
And it was frustrating. It was tedious, but it was the only way I could get input. And what a blessing.
God, man, that's got to be,
incredible.
I mean, terrifying. You lose your sight, and now suddenly you're shut out from the world in this silent box.
I can't imagine.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
How much can you hear now?
He said, "How much can you hear?" Now?
Okay.
He heard us. He's just messing with us.
That was perfect timing.
Yeah, well done.
It's completely different. It's not like a percentage.
Okay.
So both my ears are completely turned off, and
Okay.
because the damage on the right side was so extensive that implant couldn't send a good enough signal, so it didn't work. I'm going to get a tattoo on my earlobe that says "out of order, please go around."
You totally should. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So,
But the other one, it's kind of like your brain. So the way these things work is that even though the ear and the inner ear functions are shut off, this works similarly to a hearing aid, where it takes in the ambient noise, but then it doesn't amplify it. It goes to this tether right here.
Yep.
As a magnet connects it to the implant. The implant has an electrode that actually is attached inside the cochlea to the auditory nerve, and it sends a digital signal to that. And your brain has to learn what this digital signal is.
So it took months for him to learn how to hear again, even once that cochlear implant was turned on. So it was about 6 months from the time he went deaf to the time he could actually communicate by hearing again.
Okay.
So he was in complete darkness and complete silence for 6 months.
that is
Wow.
crazy.
It was excruciating. For him, I can't imagine. It was excruciating witnessing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I can't even imagine, Aaron, what you went through, but McKayla, I know as a spouse, it's so hard to watch. I mean, or as a parent to watch your kids go through something like that. I mean, I think it's the same, you're just heartbroken. Like, you just want to fix it. And like, you can't. So
I love it.
Well,
Aaron-
imagine, I mean, this is a brand new relationship, and she's uprooted her entire life, left her job, left her home, left her friends, moved in with me. I'm not the most pleasant guy to be around, even in my best. But these were definitely not my best days. And not only was she taking care of me, making sure I was getting all the antibiotics, communicating, she was my eyes and ears, so the whole thing, dealing with the VA garbage, you know how that is.
Oh yeah.
And she took all of this on after 1 week.
It makes me sound crazy.
must have been,
No, it doesn't. Makes you
must
sound
have
like
been one hell of a date.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, you're doing something right, buddy.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're in love. Sounds like you found your soulmate. That's amazing. What I want to know is what about the collaboration? What are you guys doing now? Because you guys have teamed up. You've overcome and conquered. We'll throw that in there. But tell us what's cooking. What's going on these days?
Well, during this time when I was just learning how to hear again, I I was, I lost my vestibular balance as well. So I couldn't run. I couldn't train on my treadmill. Came home from the hospital in a wheelchair, and it was weeks before I was using those trekking poles that I take in the mountains. I needed those just to get to the mailbox and back. There was all sorts of things going on, but I decided to plunge myself again into a passion, into a project, something to keep my mind off of,
Mhm.
what I was missing or what I didn't have or the struggles I was going through. I just, the holidays were coming, and we decided again. It was Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays because one, you get to invite friends and family and gather together and just bring loved ones together, and two, you get to eat like an absolute glutton. So we decided we were going to put on this feast. We invite friends, family, neighbors over. We invited a few of the EOD students that get stranded over, some of the holidays when they don't have enough leave days. And I started preparing weeks in advance. McKayla told you I do the cooking in the house, and I started with desserts.
Aaron, I got to interrupt for a second because you said that earlier and it really made my mind grind. How do you cook without burning yourself and knowing what do you cook? Do you cook everything? And if you cook everything, how do you
I got 20/20 vision and I cook like
shit out of myself. I burn myself and I can see.
Yeah, he's amazing. Well, first, he knows our house like the back of his hand. So he does not need his cane inside our house. He can navigate with the babies, can navigate everything without the cane. So he's memorized every square inch of our house, which means I don't move the furniture. I try not to.
You touch the you touch a hot stovetop one too many times, and you learn fast. And it's the truth. Just kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
So
how do you know when things are cooked? How do you do that?
Do you put a time? I mean, how does the timer
is it only
work?
by timer? I mean, do you
it's just
feel
memory,
a steak?
muscle memory?
It's like you're the cooking whisperer or something. I just sense when it's done.
Yeah.
Seriously.
There are all sorts of tools and techniques for that. One, the touch method with steaks, that kind of thing.
He also does have a Bluetooth thermometer that Bluetooths to his iPhone that he can put a hunk of meat in the smoker and it'll just tell him the temperature. So there's cool kitchen technology.
Cheater.
I mean, technically, I would say that's cheating, but in your case, I think you're good. I agree with Ray. So,
when I day-to-day stuff, he just does it all by memory, by memory.
And sometimes I just turn to McKayla and go, "Is this chicken still pink?"
Yeah.
And so we were going to make this, we weren't going to let what was happening ruin Thanksgiving. And I started cooking. Like I said, I was preparing weeks in advance. I started making all these desserts, pies, cakes, cookies. And then I started making fudge. And after one batch of fudge, I'd start another one. And I was throwing spices and nuts, and I was dumping booze in there. I was like this.
His creative side, being creative with the booze.
Yeah.
I was actually having fun. And McKayla said she saw something that she hadn't seen in 6 months, and there was a smile on my face.
But he was having fun.
Wow.
But, I was also making a lot of fudge, and she started sneaking some of it out the front door. I say sneaking, like you got to be real stealthy around a blind deaf guy.
I wish I had a snare drum.
Yeah.
She was giving it away to friends and family and friends and neighbors, and people coming back and saying, how can we get some more of this? Can we buy some? I said, well, of course. Capitalist in me said, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how the idea for Extraordinary Delights, EODfudge.com was born.
I love the name, man.
I just got that. No, I'm kidding. I knew what it meant, but that is genius.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Yeah, so we kind of started this business. I took my background in business and entrepreneurship and just kind of ran with it because I saw that it gave him a purpose. And we were both too young. And it's really lonely to just sit around your house after retirement and after injury and like not interact with people, not do anything. So I just ran with this idea, and now we have a 60,000 square foot facility in Savannah, Georgia, and that makes all of our treats and ships them out year round.
How
No
big?
way.
How big?
60,000 square feet. And so he was on
Boom.
Fox Business last year. We do corporate events for like Boeing and other big corporations. And it's been fun. We really enjoy it. So it's grown every year and since we've started. And we're just getting into our busy season now.
So how do you guys do as a, some couples are good in the business. My wife helps me run the business, and we 90% of the time we see eye to eye on everything. How about you guys? Do you do pretty well, or every now and then do you like butt heads like, oh no, we need to go this way?
Yeah, sure. We butt heads about things, but we
No.
also
Couples never bicker.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah, we do. What were you gonna say?
The secret there is that whenever we have a disagreement, I just defer to whatever she says. Hopefully, it's not too late to change my mind and see how she's always right. But,
Dude, you've figured out the formula for a good marriage.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm always wrong. She's always right.
Yeah.
But the truth is, when you share the same vision and you have the same principles, then the answers are pretty simple. And the day-to-day disagreements don't really matter all that much.
Yeah. I mostly do a lot of the marketing and social media aspects of things. And Aaron is in the kitchen a lot doing some research and development. So he makes new recipes all the time. And our 8-year-old son is involved doing that with him. So that's fun.
So basically, I'm making a mess in the kitchen with my son while McKayla's running a business.
Sounds like it's a good combo because it's working.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it works out. It's a lot of fun.
So where can people find out more about Extraordinary Delights?
Yeah, so if you go to eodfudge.com, that's our website, and you can follow us on all the social media at EOD Confections.
And besides finding our treats and buying our delicious fudge, we have a lot of other treats on the website. It's also where you can inquire about my public speaking as well.
Outstanding. So on the EOD Delights website they can also find out about you public speaking?
Yep, eodfudge.com.
Okay.
I actually pulled it up right there, so hopefully our viewers can see it, hopefully. But
Yes.
yeah, it's a fantastic website.
They have a very well done video on there too.
It is.
Thank you.
Aaron, so you got a great message, both of you together, with what you've created. So as we're wrapping up the show, what would be the biggest advice? And I'm going to ask this in two parts. One part, Aaron, your specific advice to help others overcome and conquer when they've had such a traumatic incident. I mean, you've been hit by multiple life ambushes, yet you've driven forward and built success. And McKayla, for you as a couple, how you guys have managed to stay strong and build this incredible relationship, 2 twin boys, a successful business. So that's my 2-part question.
Okay, you go first.
Well, one of the biggest takeaways, one of the lessons I learned on the battlefield is that, as an EOD team, we're given, an entire shipping container full of tools, bomb suits, robots, power tools, all that, and it gets sent out to the battlefield. But then when you get to the battlefield, you're given that armored truck, and you got to bring, only whatever tools you can fit into that truck, and you got to leave some tools behind. And then when I was in Afghanistan, we're dismounted, we're on foot, and all we've got is our rucksack, whatever we can carry on our bodies. And a lot of those tools get left behind. So you got to decide, and I got to figure out how I'm going to do the same job with a couple blocks of C4, a knife, a rope, and a carabiner. And that's the same thing in everyday life. is that sometimes we have to do without, a few tools. And now that I don't have my eyes, most of my hearing, I've left a few tools behind, but I still have some talent. I still have, good team around me. And I know that I can still do the job. It's about tenacity. It's about carrying on no matter what difficulties or what tools you've left behind.
It comes back to the word of the day, the grit.
The grit.
I love it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm actually looking at all your goodies that you have on your site because I'm going to buy some. I'm so pumped.
We'll ship you guys some.
And McKayla, I know that there's so many couples out there. I mean, in this day and age, people are starving to figure out how to make strong relationships. So many people out there are kind of struggling. We're inundated with so much information and the stresses of the world, and raising kids is harder in this day and age. I mean, God knows I got 3 teenagers. So how have you guys held it together? What would be your advice for the couples out there?
Yeah, I think my biggest advice would be listening to what your needs are, not just taking care of everyone else around you, but you also have to take care of yourself. So I'm a big advocate of self-care. That goes for husbands, wives, teenagers. Like, everybody needs to have some tools to take care of themselves mentally, physically. And I think if you're willing to put in the work to take care of yourself, your relationships are going to be a lot better because you're not giving from an empty cup.
No, that's awesome. And you're not giving from an empty cup. What a powerful, so many people don't understand that. They give and give and give until they have nothing left. And then they're so burnt out, they've got literally nothing. So I love it.
McKayla, I want to show you something. You see that I'm not talking to my producer right now, right? Do you see that?
Yeah.
Hey, tell her what I just texted you.
He said it's my favorite interview.
This has been my favorite interview, bar none. And we've had some big names on here. The story, I mean, what he overcame, you're a warrior, I get it. But to me, and no offense, Aaron, the story is you too.
Yeah.
Jesus. It's
an amazing
I am
love story.
overwhelmed.
And
I love it. I mean,
story.
I love it. I love what you guys are doing. I mean, you were inspirational to couples around the world. The fact that you have done the things that you would have never done, you admitted that you would have procrastinated. This is bar none my favorite. I've been intrigued. I've been taking notes on you guys for couples. You've been seeing me on my phone, and I've taken probably 20 pictures of you guys. I cannot wait to go home and tell my wife about this. Thank you so much.
Anytime. We'd love to keep in touch with you guys, and DM us your address. We'll ship you some chocolate.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk afterwards. Aaron, we can talk speaking also. I mean, if we can help in any way, on that side. But for everybody out there, once again, eodfudge.com. Go check them out. They are an amazing couple. Bigger than that, they make some amazing, extraordinary delights. And you got to get some. So EOD Fudge, and once again, it's EOD Confection. EOD Confection on the IG.
That's a big word.
I know. I had a hard time saying it. So.
We're going to follow you. I'm going to follow you as soon as we get off.
So, all right, guys, this has been another episode of the Overcome and Conquer Show. Aaron and McKayla, thank you so much for being on our show, for sharing with our listeners your amazing journey and your incredible love story. It's been a good
Absolutely.
one.
Thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah.
Honored.
Absolutely. So, all right, this has been another episode of the Overcome and Conquer Show. I am Jason Overcome Redmond.
And I am Ray Cashcare.
And we are out.
Boom.
Thanks for listening to the Overcome and Conquer Show. Tune in next time, and please remember to subscribe on iTunes. Please visit overcomeandconquer.com.
The Overcome and Conquer Show is presented by The Project. The Project is a full immersion, 75-hour experience designed for men who know in their core they are not living up to their fullest potential. Rather than waking up every morning ready to dominate life, the mediocre man rolls out of bed and slides into the same unfulfilling routine they've unhappily been in for way too long. The Project is for men that have lost their eternal flame and motivation to conquer. It is for men living an unfulfilling life that lacks the excitement and purpose. If this resonates with you and you want to learn more, we encourage you to apply today at www.mdkproject.com. Again, that's www.mdkproject.com. Boom.